You're listening to Packers Blitz with my co-host Andy. The podcast is done by two diehard Packers fans who survived Packer football of the 80s and live to talk about it. This podcast is dedicated to the greatest fans, Packer fans. Andy, how you doing? How was your Christmas?
Really good. Got to spend a lot of time with both sides of the family. So yeah, it was great. Great holiday cheer. A lot of eggnog.
I hear you. Get to get that eggnog, spike it up a little bit.
Yeah, it was
Good stuff.
Yes. Thank you, Uncle Myron.
There you go, Uncle Myron.
For
Thank
that.
you.
So welcome, everybody. And so how was your Christmas, John?
It was good. I got to spend some time with the family, just take it easy. I have a grand niece. Name is Jocelyn. Someday she'll hear this. Thank you, Uncle John, for mentioning my name. So I'd remember to say Santa. I've been out of the Santa game for quite a while because my kids are older. So everything was, hey, this is from Santa. And, ooh, you better go to sleep. Santa's coming. And
Yep. You
so
gotta be a little bit
Santa
careful.
came early with the Packers game, and yeah.
Yeah, there
what
was
else would you like to
we
talk
all
about
got
here?
another Christmas gift, didn't we, on Sunday? A Packers win.
Yes, we did.
Right.
Yes,
Now we
did.
just need a New Year's victory to keep our playoff hopes alive.
Yeah.
So remember, Packer fans, we believe, and we're gonna will our Packers to the NFC playoffs, aren't we?
Yes, we will. And the funny thing is, everybody lost that was supposed to lose, right? Seahawks lost.
Everybody.
Detroit lost. Giants lost.
Commanders. Yeah.
Commanders lost. So it was pretty good. So I was pretty happy about that on Saturday. I didn't have a lot of time to watch any of the games. I don't know if you did, Andy, but I just kind of was peeping in, because I had to get ready for everything to go to my sister's place where Christmas was. But it was interesting, I was just like, wow, these people are all losing. That's pretty cool. So that was really good. So, however, we're always positive on here, but I just heard some recent news. Andy, I don't know if you heard this news, but Aaron Rodgers has a knee injury. He said he's going to play. He's going to play. He got into Miami. Everything's fine. There's no problems, but it popped up just before a couple hours before we were doing our podcast here. Along with that,
this is what the audience gets, John, when they listen to us. This breaking news. I've got a couple things I wanted to mention that just broke within the last few hours. So I just wanted, and it's all, it's typically Packer related. That's the reason I'm bringing it up. I had some other things I was going to talk about as well, but I'll let you finish up what you were going to talk about. Sorry to interrupt. But so knee injury, it's nothing serious, and he should be able to play, we hope.
Yes, because this is a huge game, which we'll get into with the Queens, not the Kings, the Queens. And Christian Watson and Keyshawn Nixon didn't practice today. It's Wednesday. We're doing our podcast. So Keyshawn Nixon has a groin injury. Christian Watson has a hip. And if you're watching the game, he got really, that I think it was a corner from Miami just leveled him. But he got up and he seemed fine. And then the next thing I know, he's not playing. And then same with Keyshawn Nixon. He's running things back, getting it down to the goal line and everything. And, and then all of a sudden he's not playing. So kind of things that I just wanted to share. We did sign some Seattle receiver off the practice squad, which I have no idea why, other than, well, he's a Packer, so we have to bring this up, but it does matter. It's Dean Lowry. He is on the IR. He hurt himself in the Miami game, I believe, too. Dean Lowry, yes, he's a Packer, but he's not what I would call echelon Packer. If he's out, you really don't miss him. But Christian Watson, Aaron Rodgers, and Keyshawn Nixon, if they're all out, we're definitely going to miss them. But let's all
Well, the good
believe
thing about
they're going to make
Dean Lowry, John, is that he
Yeah.
plays. I mean, I think he's only missed maybe a few
Yeah.
games in this. He's been on the team what,
Right.
4 or 5 seasons, I guess, right about there.
Yep.
So I
So let's
mean,
get
so
right
he
into
is good
yeah.
with being able to play, which is a
Yeah,
good thing.
he's a player, all right.
Yeah,
Let's
but
just put it that
he's
way.
not
Nothing
rated
against
super high by Pro Football
no,
Focus or anything like
no,
that.
pro
I
football
did
focus.
want to
No.
mention, I was going to mention it later since we're talking about that. There was only one Packer that was rated a 90 or above, and I believe that it was that defensive end that we have that is pretty good, Preston Smith.
Smith. Yeah.
Yep. So he was rated at 90, and he was the only Packer that got rated a 90
He
or
played well.
above. So he was
Yeah.
actually mentioned on the, I think it was a NFL Network. I was on one of their apps or whatever. The
Yeah.
video montages that they have with some of the players that were that played really well. So I was kind of surprised by that because he does usually set the edge really well and plays really well. But I did, know he was graded that high. So, but again, the only Packer that was, so that's significant and great job on his part. He made some plays along with
He did.
Rashawn,
Yeah.
wasn't Rashawn Gary, Darren Reed, I believe. Duran Reed.
Yeah, John Reed.
Duran. Okay. Yep. So.
Yeah. So breaking news. Hit me with it.
Yeah, Derek Carr just got benched in Vegas. That's significant.
Unbelievable.
And I'm just gonna kind of wing it here. Normally, you don't wing it too
No,
much.
that's fine. Go,
It's significant because Davante Adams went to the Raiders specifically to play with Derek Carr, and now Derek Carr will not be playing. And then I saw something in passing when I was on my computer. I just saw something pop up that said something to the effect that Derek Carr was actually removing himself from the team so that he wasn't a distraction. And I have no idea what that means, and I didn't go into it.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I'm not sure if he left the team or what his role is going to be moving forward, or either, even if he's going to be backing up. But so that was kind of interesting news. That was out of nowhere and very just kind of weird. I mean, I don't know if they have anybody waiting in the wings that they want to see play like we do in Jordan Love.
So. No.
Yeah, so that doesn't make any sense to me, and so I figured I just let Packer fans know, that's another reason that maybe Davante shouldn't have left. But I know he had his reasons. He thought Rodgers was kind of waffling back and forth. He's going to retire. I'm going to retire. I'm not going to retire.
Yeah.
Made a lot of sense what he wanted to happen and accomplish, and he wanted to play with Derek Carr again because Derek had and him had been on the same college football team. And so, right. So, made a lot of sense. And he got paid. He was going to get paid from the Packers too. But he chose Derek Carr basically over Aaron Rodgers. If I were him, I probably wouldn't have done that. But I understand what what his motivation was, and
his motivation.
But it just kind of it's another reason why maybe he shouldn't have. So
and he's going to break a Raiders record for the most yards in a season. And believe it or not, the last person to do that is like Tim Brown. If you remember Tim Brown at all, Andy, he was our guy in the 80s and 90s. If you remember, he's from Notre Dame. I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer. I don't think he was.
I think he is. Well, at least he's with the Oakland Raiders. He was. Yeah, he was a great wide receiver. Yeah, he had a nice string of 1,000-yard seasons. But
but think about that, Andy. That's like, oh my gosh, 30 years ago. They have not had a receiver at the greatness of Davante Adams. That's a long time.
Well, then you have to have a quarterback that can get him the ball. And
Sure.
Derek's been doing a good job of that actually this
Yeah.
year. Devontae has been very up and down. And if
Yes,
anybody, we don't usually talk about fantasy football. I'm sure a lot of people were disappointed in his performance last week. So it's kind
I'm
of
sure.
weird. They will use him
Mhm.
extensively one game and then he'll disappear another game. And so he was a little bit
Yep.
more consistent with the Packers. Of
Sure.
course, Rodgers
Wow.
was getting him the ball and they
He was
kind of
his
had
guy.
that sixth sense that,
Yeah.
just that connection between the two
Mhm.
of them that was just
Absolutely.
uncanny.
Yeah.
And you don't see that
And
too often. So,
no.
I feel bad for Devontae,
I don't.
but I also don't. So,
No.
the second thing I wanted to mention, John, we can move on unless you want to keep talking
Yes,
about
move
Devontae.
on. Let's move on.
Let's move on. So Tua is out for this week.
That
He
poor guy.
has he's in concussion protocol.
Yeah.
Is having issues.
That
I
sucks.
guess he supposedly went to the hospital, get checked out, and this and that. But this had been going on since the Bills
Yeah.
game the week before.
Yeah, that
So a
Bills
lot of
game.
people
That
were
was
mentioning
scary.
this in a lot of the little tidbits I was listening to. I don't know specifics. I mean, I can
Mm.
give you specifics, but it really doesn't
No,
matter.
it's okay.
So
No.
basically, the pundits out there, the people out in the media,
Yeah.
that are out there saying pretty much all the same thing is like he might have had a concussion during the Bills game.
Mm.
Really didn't get it checked out thoroughly because he didn't go through protocol. Then he was playing the game against us. He might have already had a concussion or, still having
Could've.
symptoms. So it's just, it does make some sense, at
Mm.
least in the second half, how things went, that
Yeah.
he might have
It's
been a little
completely
bit
different.
cloudy. So, I don't want to
Mhm.
speculate, but he did hit the ground really hard once.
Yes.
And it might have been several times, but that game in Buffalo was really cold. They were expecting a lot of snow that they
Yeah.
didn't get until the end of the game. But my point is that the ground's frozen. His head's hit. If he's getting
Mhm.
tackled, his head's hitting the ground. This and that. That might have been the case. And again, with us, um, you know, you can
Yeah.
get a concussion pretty much doing anything. But my point
Sure.
is that he probably did happen the game before, like they were saying, and then he was keeping it kind of probably a little bit more
Mhm.
hush hush than he should have. He had
Yeah.
been out with concussions early in the year. I think this is
Yeah.
technically his second, but he's had
Oh, he's
issues
had
with
more
his
than that.
head. Well,
He's had more
two
than
that
that.
were reported, and they were talking, there was like three times, but he didn't go through the protocol. So this is the second
Correct.
time that he's gone through the protocols, if we want to get
Yeah.
technical about it. But
Sure.
um, so it does make a little bit of sense. So that's the other reason I brought it up.
Yeah.
Again, that
That poor
it's
kid.
kind of that's breaking news. That's two top quarterbacks, a couple teams. Well, at least
Yeah.
the Raiders were vying for a playoff
Not anymore.
position, but not anymore. And then they're 8-7. I think right now they're in the
Yeah.
playoffs, but they got
Yes,
to
yeah,
win.
they're the 7th seed.
They got to win one of the next two games, and that's going to be tough
Correct.
if Tua,
Yeah, if Tua's
isn't
not
there.
there.
And again, I'm not trying to speculate. This is just other people saying this, that
Yeah.
they're really, some people are pushing him to even retire for his own health and this and that. But
Yeah.
um, I don't want to speculate on that, but I'm just
Yeah.
letting you know that's what people
Sure.
are saying. So, but
Yeah,
anyway, the
absolutely.
top three things that I had, at least for this week so far, and again, I
Okay.
got a little bit off subject there for a little bit, but the
It's
number
okay.
one thing I wanted to say, this is referring to what we talked about last podcast with Colin Cowherd. When you're right, Colin, you're right.
Oh my
Yesterday,
god.
Tuesday, December 27th, because we're recording this on a Wednesday, on the Herd with Colin Cowherd. Colin did
You disgust me.
he did a total 360-degree spin move on the Packers season
Of course
and
he
their
did.
playoff chances. Remember we were talking about his
Oh,
negativity?
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
he actually ranked the Packers number 10 in the Herd hierarchy of the top 10 NFL teams. He ranked us 10.
Of course he
Then
did.
the other thing that he said was Green Bay is 15-0 in December games with LaFleur and
That is true.
Rodgers. And
That's true.
he said it feels like Green Bay's weekend, meaning this is what he meant by that. The Packers would defeat the rival Minnesota Vikings at Lambeau Field on New Year's Day. So he said it's our weekend. So I did want to say thank you, Colin, for your foresight and support. And then I just put smiley face. Smiley face on that. Thank you, Colin. Thanks. I'm not going to rant too much, but we talked about this before, John. He is not. He normally does not support the Packers at all.
No.
And when we had a 3% chance of making the playoffs again, they were saying bench Aaron, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they were
and
saying
so
all
he
that stuff.
he did a about face. He did a total 360
Of course
move.
he did.
All of a sudden, we're in the top 10 teams, and we aren't even in the playoffs as of now. Playoffs. Yeah. And so we're 7 and 8, and we're in the top 10. So I guess we must have some value. Out of all the teams in the National Football League, if we're ranked 10, and then he's really, he's been supporting the notion that we could win the next 2 games and then get into the playoffs. So, thank you, Colin, for that. I guess we appreciate the support. Typically, that's not the case.
No.
Did you have any thoughts on that, John?
No, I'm tired of the guy. He's just so annoying. He just, one of the biggest things with him, and then we'll move on to our next thing. One of the biggest things with him is he's been around. It's not like, this is his first rodeo. He understands that there are people out there who are smarter than him, are probably telling him, hey, Green Bay is better than you thought they were, and they're getting hot at the right time. And that's what it takes, right? You need to go into the playoffs not peaking in October. You need to peak in November and December, because that's when, again, you need to peak when all the other teams are tired and beat up and injured. And if you can go in there, and I'm not saying this is our 2010, 2011 season, but if you remember,
you can if you want.
But remember, we were not this great team like we were in just after that. So 2011, 2012, where we were 15-1 and our offense was unstoppable, and we were just this juggernaut, and we were just crushing people. And then we lost that game to Kansas
Giants.
City, if you remember.
Was it? Oh, okay.
No, it's Kansas City Chiefs. And the reason I remember that is because the Chiefs at that time, they're okay. They're a pretty good team. But they beat us, and they beat us bad. And then everyone was like, oh, okay. Now we have the blueprint. And then if you remember, we played the Giants in the divisional round.
That I remember.
And we played like shit, let's be honest, and just
poop emoji.
And we just got beat up, right?
Yeah.
But again, that team didn't have any challenges, none. It we just boat raced everybody. We were just by far every game that year, we were the best team on the field, no matter who we were playing. But then as soon as we got to the playoffs, and you were playing a team like the Giants, who they didn't sneak in by any imagination, but they were okay. They weren't the 2007 team that beat us again with Brett Favre throwing that interception when there were 4 people wide open. See, Andy, I remember all these things.
Yeah.
And it's scary because
roll out, throw across your body to the middle of the field, which you aren't supposed to do.
Yeah.
We did the same thing,
Yeah. So anyway, Packer fans, if you remember any of those games, you know what I'm talking about. So David Bakhtiari.
That's the second thing.
You were right. Did not play.
Nope. He did not play. There is a chance he's going to play play this
Come
week
on.
or the next.
Come
Yeah,
on.
it's possible. I had
Really?
the same thing, and it does take a while to heal up. I don't see the reason for that to happen. I'm just saying there's a chance now that he may play. I don't expect him to play this
No.
week. Why? And then what is he? He is our left tackle though, so I mean, it would be nice maybe to have him back for the Lions game. But you got to
Oh,
make sure
yeah.
he's all right
That's
too. And
right. Sorry to interrupt
so
you. Do we have any word on, or do you have any word on Josh Nyman or Josh Nyman? Because he went out of the game in Miami too. I totally forgot that. Oh man, that would suck. We didn't have either one of them. Yeah. So
yeah, I haven't heard anything
I
on
haven't heard
him,
anything
but
either.
yeah, eventual possible replacement for him, which I'm going to get into in a second. But you're right,
Okay,
John.
here
He
we
didn't
go.
play on Sunday, on Christmas Sunday. Bakhtiari, I might have mentioned, that on the last Packers Blitz that he wasn't going to play. There's, again, not a chance. And a lot of people are saying, yeah, he might play. No, he wasn't going to play. So there is a chance though for this Sunday or the next one against the Lions in the regular season finale that he might make it back for that. But I did want to make a statement that the Packers front office cannot pay him his $20 million salary in 2023 if he's not going to play. And so
Yeah.
yes, he had an emergency appendectomy. I understand that there's some
Yeah.
things beyond
You
his
had
control, but
one.
we're talking about a track record the last few years that he hasn't been
Yeah.
healthy, can't stay healthy, and has
No.
had surgery after surgery after surgery.
Yeah.
And again,
Right.
at some point, you gotta play to get the money to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. I hear you.
just wanted to mention that. He's a
Right.
great player. Don't get me
He
wrong.
is a
I
great
would
player.
love to
He'll be a
have him,
Packer
but
Hall of
not
Famer.
not at $29 million.
No.
Packer fans. I mean,
No.
that is, it's a
Little too
situation
much.
where you typically will pay your quarterback, you will pay your left tackle, you'll pay a defensive end that gets you 10, 15 sacks and show him
Mm-hmm.
show him the bag. But
Right.
if he doesn't play, you just can't. There's no value in that.
No.
So
No, you can't.
it's going to be interesting what they do in the offseason with him. We've talked about that before. My
Right.
guess is
Yeah.
they are going to try to probably either get him to take less money or
Funny.
or so
Or something.
and
Yeah.
hopefully it doesn't get to that. But so last thing I did want to mention a few of the top things again, the couple of things, and this is the third thing. But the Packers, I think, have finally found their kick punt
So we
returner in
hope
Keyshawn
so.
Nixon. Yeah, he had
Please.
another electric 93-yard
Oh, that was awesome.
kickoff return, which I missed because I think I was getting some ham or something.
Get some eggnog.
I was getting some food. I don't know what I was doing, but I
I got
missed it. So that
okay.
kind of stunk. I did
Mm.
go back and watch it. I mean, even the announcers are saying he's so decisive, he's so
Oh
aggressive,
yeah.
and I love it because he
I
doesn't
love it.
wait for something to develop.
Nope.
He just
He hits
hits
and
it,
goes.
he
Just
just
goes, man.
goes. And
Hit the
that
gas.
kickoff
Go.
return was the longest. Speaking of 2010, 2011, it was the longest, team's longest since
Oh my
2011.
God. Of
So I,
course.
I just wanted to give a shout out and thank all the
All right,
football
buddy.
gods. Thank you so much for finally
Yeah.
giving us a
Yeah. Yeah.
kickoff returner, a kick returner, a
Yeah.
punt returner that
Mm.
actually looks like he's
Hopefully
the
we can keep
real
him.
deal. Plus he
Hopefully.
wants to play slot receiver now too. Did you hear that?
I just heard that. Yeah,
Okay,
he's
okay.
been
Just
telling
but figured I'd
LaFleur, he's
mention
been
it.
kind of pitching him and getting on. Oh man. Yeah, whatever, man. Whatever can get us into the playoffs and to that Super Bowl. Let's do it, man. So
Yep.
game review. I know it was on Christmas, so a lot of people, I'm sure, were busy getting ham, drinking some eggnog, and let's be honest, everyone I saw, I, I would love, Andy, I would love to go to the NFL Network and just scream at them how wrong they are because the Thursday night game, and then there was the Saturday night game. I don't know whoever was carrying it, all from the NFL Network picked all Miami said, yeah, Packers, yeah, it ends here. And I'm like, hey, suck it. Because I knew
Yeah.
we had a chance. Because what did I say in my game preview? I said, if you get on Tua, which we probably gave him a concussion, if you get on him and he will go in his shell. And that's exactly what he did in the second half. He just was not, he didn't want to run. You saw when they put pressure on him, he kind of just was like really hesitant. And then when he would see his receivers, one of the things I noticed, the one he threw to our linebacker. Now I'm drawing a blank here.
Devondre?
Devondre Campbell, huh?
Yep. Yeah, that was the one
Campbell?
where
Yeah,
Mostert went straight out and kind of ran a
yeah,
fly pattern or something. I think he was supposed to
yeah,
do a hitch or something and stop, but
yeah.
they weren't on the same
So,
page. Let's just say that. And he threw it to a
yeah,
spot, and
yeah,
Mostert just kept running. Devondre came across, and Tua threw it right to him. It's a
right to
great
him.
pass.
And
Right.
it was the same thing with Russell Douglas and my
Yeah.
boy Jair, which you're going to talk about in our topic, who had an interception. But it was, what did I tell you? I said, and you said this too, when it first started out, I went, "Oh man," because what did they have like over 200 yards, and Waddle had I think over 100 yards by the end of the first quarter, or some outrageous
Yeah, he
thing.
had that
And,
80-some yard touchdown
yeah, yeah, yeah.
completion, which was ridiculously
It was insane,
awful.
right? And they were just, it was a track meet. I'm going, oh my
Yeah,
God,
and there was
this
a
is
reason for that, John, which we'll
yeah,
get into later too.
sure.
We talked
So
about that
anyway,
in our last podcast. Just letting
yeah,
you, just a reminder. We laid it out. We said exactly what needed to
you said
happen.
exactly.
Okay, I'm gonna
Yep.
start getting off subject.
All
That's for
right, all right.
later
So
when
let's
we
get
talk
back.
about
Let's
Joe
get back.
Barry.
Let's get back. I'll bring you back. Bring you back. So anyway, my last thing with it was, again, I just knew as soon as it said it was 40 degrees, and I went, oh, thank God it's 40 degrees out there. And as soon as I saw Tua start going in his shell and then kind of abandoning the running game and kind of pressing some things, I went, we're gonna win this game. And I was right. So, Andy, tell me about a lot of other great things that happened.
Yeah, some of them you already mentioned, John, a little bit earlier,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is
sure.
awesome because we need to repeat it over and over again because we're
We do.
still in it.
Yeah.
We did win 26-20 over the Dolphins.
And we
A
should have won
lot of great
35-20.
things happened
Yeah.
during the previous day on Saturday and then also on Sunday to help
Mhm. Mhm.
keep our playoff hopes alive and give all of us Packer fans some holiday cheer. So
Oh,
again, like
yeah.
John had mentioned before, 4 teams ahead of us in the NFC standings all lost: the Seahawks, the Commanders, the Giants, and the Lions. Football Outsiders now puts the odds of the green and gold making the playoffs at 36%.
Yeah, we were
Remember
at
our
9.
odds. Well, depending on who you're talking to, according to Football Outsiders, that particular stat company or whatever, had the odds at 36%. But I've seen it a little bit higher than that. Whatever.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
a lot better than 3% just a few short
Well,
weeks ago.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
we're headed in the right direction, and we just have to keep winning. We just have to, win,
Mhm.
just win out, and
Yeah, no
that's
excuses.
just as simple as that. So,
Yep.
we need to beat the Vikings this Sunday and the Lions 2
Yeah.
Sundays from now, and I think we'll be fine if we do that. I think the odds rose from 60, I think it was 65% or whatever.
Yeah,
It's
it's
up into the
good.
80s now if we win the next 2 games. But again, we're
Yeah.
taking one game at a time. As of now, our playoff chances are at 36%, which again is a lot better than it was. So positive thinking, I think, has helped.
Positive.
And a lot of things went our way, and now we just
Yeah.
need to take care of business. So
Yeah.
anyway, I'll do a little synopsis of our
Yeah, here
Christmas
we
Day
go.
comeback victory. So simply put, the Packers won because they minimized their mistakes, and Tua and the Dolphins lost because they couldn't overcome theirs. Tua was playing with a concussion suffered supposedly in the second half. It had to be affecting his decision making. We talked about that earlier. On the first INT, he airmailed his throw over the head of Tyreek Hill into quadruple coverage. Quadruple, meaning four. There were 4 players that I could see in the screen around him. That's usually what happens a lot with Tyreek Hill, but there were a lot of players there. None of them were near him, and he airmailed it over the top of his head, as everybody saw. So it's like, what was he doing? He was throwing it into quadruple coverage, which wasn't too smart. But along the same lines, he actually could have probably hit Tyreek Hill with the pass. He just overthrew him. So the second INT was a miscommunication that we had talked about with Raheem Mostert. I think Tua kind of fell on the sword, so to speak, and he had mentioned that that it was just a miscommunication. We don't know who messed up, but Mostert basically kept running his route downfield instead of stopping and kind of doing a hitch where he turned around. It's a lot of the Miami offense is quick rhythm throws, being in a spot. It's all timing, and so it just seemed like in the second half, especially, that timing was like way off. And then the third INT, I have no idea who he was throwing it to. And then I was making a little quip, maybe a ghost of Christmas present. I don't know who he was throwing it to. But I'm glad he threw it to our guy, which was pretty awesome. So it was a good all-around effort. I thought in all 3 phases. On offense, the Packers' passing attack was well balanced. Aaron Rodgers threw to 10 different wide receivers, and they had mentioned this several times. I went up and looked it up, and it was true. He had thrown to 10 different receivers. So but along the same lines, he basically had to, because Christian Watson went out early with a hip injury, which we had talked about that. And then the old cagey veteran tight end, Mercedes Lewis, came up with 2 really big catches. TD again, and then he just was blocking like he normally does, just a fantastic blocker in the run game. And even the announcers were mentioning that too. So
he's like,
although our run game only averaged about 3.2 yards per carry, so that wasn't so hot, but we did enough to win, at least on offense. So on defense, just give me a second. So what the heck was Joe Barry's game plan in the first half? We'll get into that a little bit later. The Packers gave up 20 easy and fast points. Packers D did hold them to 0 points in the second half, which was awesome. And that was because of those 3 critical interceptions that Tua had on 3 consecutive drives, I believe, in the fourth quarter. So that definitely helps. So
definitely.
So according to Packers cornerback and only Pro Bowler Jair Alexander, he said defensive backs coach Jerry Gray surprisingly yelled at them at halftime.
They swore at him.
Maybe we should make Jerry Gray our defensive coordinator moving forward, because somebody needed to say something to somebody. So it's great that whatever he did, whatever he said, it worked out pretty well. So again, the Packers intercepted after halftime. They intercepted Tua 3 times in the fourth quarter to seal the victory. We talked about that before. All in all, the Packers defense had a season high 4 takeaways, including a fumble recovery. And so that pep talk must sure have did something for them to dominate so much. And a special shout out to Preston Smith and Jerron Reed, who smacked around Tua. Had a sack, each one of them did, and they had 2 quarterback hits each. Soon to be free agent Adrian Amos had 11 tackles, 9 solo, and made some great open field tackles on Tyreek Hill,
He did.
Jalen Waddle, and company. So
Yeah, he did.
Adrian Amos is a really good safety that we got. I think you got him in free agency, and he was actually a
From the
former
Bears.
Bears player, which we normally
Yes, he was.
don't sign Bears players, but they sign Packer players, but not usually.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. So then we talked about the offense, we talked about the defense. So on special teams, Mason Crosby, the Packers' all-time consecutive games leader, kicked 4 field goals. Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Keyshawn Nixon, again, averaged 56.5 yards on 2 kick returns.
Wow.
He did have to leave in the second quarter with a groin
Yeah,
injury.
that
And
sucked.
then, John, what was up with that fake punt at our 20-yard line on
boy.
4th and 2?
I have no idea.
What was going on toward the end of the
I have
half?
no idea.
Okay.
You know what was funny about
Oh
that
my
was
gosh.
the reaction from Matt LaFleur. Like Rich Bisaccia, now I can pronounce his name. Rich Bisaccia was standing there, and Matt LaFleur just looked at him and just went, "What the F?" What was that? And that's the way I looked at the TV, like, what are you doing? Like, oh my God, why at that time would they even consider it when you're
Right.
not really, you didn't really need it, right?
Yep.
Yes, if we got it, sure, it helped. But we really,
I'm not sure if that was a reaction to,
I
I
have
think
no
just
idea.
before that, not too long before that, they were kicking off and then they squibbed it, tried to recover it.
Don't know.
The Miami Dolphins did. So I'm not sure if that was a reaction to what they tried to do. So we're going to try to pull a fast one, but you don't do that on the 20-some yard line.
30,
You don't give
20,
them a
20,
short field. It was our 20, not theirs.
Right. Yeah, that's
they
why
they were punting, from the, their 20, we would have been kicking a field goal.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're on the other side, on their side of the field, it was our side of the field, but it was about to be theirs, basically in the red zone. You don't do that with a high powered offense like Miami. What were they thinking?
Boy.
But
What
we
were you
did,
thinking?
hold them to a field goal.
Yeah.
But again,
that
put us down 20-10. That's 2 scores. And again, that was with exactly 4:23 left in the first half. I decided I better look it up because I knew it happened somewhere. I thought it was closer to 2-minute warning, but come on, geez, what were they?
What are you doing?
Okay, so anyway, I'm not sure what your thoughts are, John. I just had to come up with the word, debacle.
Yeah, debacle. There you go.
What kind of coaching decision was that?
Yeah.
Jeez.
So this is a great segue. Speaking of coaching decisions, our topic of the week is, should Joe Barry stay or go? Well, we're going to debate that a little bit because everyone is screaming for Jim Leonard from Wisconsin, who had a great game. I did not watch the whole game. I watched the highlights, to be honest with you. But he's a great young mind, a great defensive coordinator that is going to have his pick of jobs. I personally want him to stay with Wisconsin just because he's a Wisconsin guy. And frankly, he can learn under some really great coaches and then he can go off. But knowing that, yeah, he would be a nice pick. However, that's college. And what I'm talking about with Joe Barry is Joe Barry is kind of like college, right? Because in college, you kind of like go to your friend, what are you doing? Like, why did you do that? Like, it might be involved drinking too much. It might involve smoking too much or something. It might involve other things that we won't get into on this podcast. But the point is, I always look at Joe Barry like I always say, typical Joe Barry. He'll play a half, just like in Miami, where you're just going, what are you doing? Like, why is Jair Alexander 10 yards down the field? And why are you not blitzing? And why is the middle linebacker in coverage against the running back when he can't even, and it's just stuff like that where you're like, why are you putting players in positions that they can't succeed when they have really, in my opinion, like I talked about last week, Quay Walker had another couple plays I thought was really, really good. And then, you have pretty much your defense, with exception if you had Rashawn Gary, I think this defense looks completely different. You have a pass rush, and there's a couple other guys that I think could have stepped up for us. But my point is, should he stay or should he go? My thing is, Matt LaFleur probably will keep him because after the game, you can look at it in the highlights. After we got that interception by Rasul Douglas and he slid down, Matt LaFleur gave Joe Barry a big hug. And I yelled at the TV, no, because I was like, he loves this guy, and I'm like, it's, I just get to the point of you cannot continue to have a defense that is super underperforming, that it's Joe Barry running zone when you should run man, blitz when you don't blitz, and all this other stuff, right? And it's insane to me. And to me, it's like Mike Pettin 2.0, because Mike Pettin, if you remember, I know, sorry, Packer fans, against Tampa Bay, and Tom Brady, where he threw that one to that freaking no-name receiver and scored that touchdown. That was the difference in the game.
Yeah, that
And
was
it
Scotty
really,
Miller. Scotty
yeah,
Miller, John.
nobody cares.
He still plays
Anyway,
for him, but yeah.
oh my God. Anyway, and what he did was, in that game, if you look at Mike Patton, he went into like a medium zone coverage. And I'm going, yeah, but they still could get a field goal. Why don't you come after Tom Brady, or or go into a man? It was just things like that where what are you doing? You just did the wrong things at the wrong time. And Joe Bear kind of does that too. However, this is the big however, he has games where, just like in Miami, where they're a totally different defense when they come out of the locker room, and they play really well, and they really make plays, and they're flying around. And sure, Jerry Gray screaming at them and swearing at them, that may be one thing, but you still have to make changes. So I think on film, when you look at him, it's really confusing. Should he stay or should he go? Right? Most people say he should go. However, if you bring in another defense, like let's say you get Jim Leonard, which I don't think they will, still, they're going to have to learn a new defense. He's coming from college, so he'll probably bring in a little bit of the college game. And you really don't need that. What you need is to go out and get somebody proven, somebody can come in. I personally like Dennis Allen from the Saints. I don't think he'll have a job next year. He's a great defensive coordinator. The coach of the Chargers, I can't think of his name right now. All of them are really good defensive coordinators. There's Vic
Yeah, that's
Fangio
Staley.
out there. There's Mike Zimmer out there. Get some guys who can come in and just say, this is our defense. We're going to be nasty. We're going to come at you, like Wink Martindale from the Giants.
Yep.
Even though they're not a top team, they don't have the talent on defense, in my opinion, that we have. Somebody that just comes at you. And when the Packers do that, they do good things. When they kind of go back in zone and just kind of let you run around and they don't set the edge, that at this time and place in the season, you should have that. So I still think you should give him the next two games, see how he does. But in the end, Andy, I think you still got to let him go, because you can't have a good half and a bad half. You need two good halves, 4 quarters of solid defense. And right now, you just don't get that. And that being said, you need somebody to come in and do that. And I don't know who that is. I would like to bring some people in, like maybe Jim Leonard or an established person, but we'll see. So, Andy, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, when you brought up the whole Packers Blitz topic of the week, and then you said, basically, should he stay or should he go? That topic sounds like a song from 1982,
1982.
from The Clash, right?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to bring that up. But I think that John Egan for Zone Coverage said it best in his article. So this was the title of his article. I kept it on my phone for a few weeks.
Okay.
And the title was, Why is Joe Barry still here?
Okay, that's direct.
And then he said, and these are all direct quotes from his article, almost everyone on the defense has regressed. Part of that is talent and hustle. The other big factor is coaching.
Tackling.
It's clear that Barry has lost the locker room. Jair Alexander is not covering the best receiver most of the time. That is a decision that should cost someone a job.
Weird.
So I can tell you one thing: Jim Leonard wouldn't be letting Justin Jefferson run free all over the field in zone coverage all game, like in week 1 against the Vikings. Justin Jefferson's stat line in that game, first week of the season, was 11 targets, 9 receptions, 184 yards, and 2 TDs, 2 touchdowns. If that happens, Packer Nation will lose its mind, and so will 2 diehard Packers fans who survived 1980s Packers football. It's just that the 2 of us, John, won't survive another Joe Barry bonehead Vikings game plan.
No.
So let's discuss another elephant in the room, and basically that's what the heck would Joe Barry employ? Why would he employ a defensive scheme against the Miami Dolphins that played to the strengths of the Dolphins' pass game, attacking the middle, let their speedy receivers Waddle and Hill free and cleared to run the routes off the line of scrimmage, and exhibited absolutely no physicality at the line of scrimmage to smash these receivers in the mouth. So all those things are reasons why, yes, he should go, because in previous games that I talked about, there was some success by the Chargers doing just that. Why he didn't employ that, I have no idea. But I think we got pretty lucky in the second half that Tua played so poorly. It's a testament to the players that they made so many plays. I don't want to diminish that, but let's admit it. Tua torpedoed any chance that Miami was going to come back with his mystifyingly dumb decisions. And I will not give Joe Barry a pass. I will not give him any credit for that. Miami's receivers were still getting open. Tua just didn't get them the ball.
No, he didn't.
So again, I don't know what. This is just off the cuff, John, but I don't know what he was. I don't know what he's thinking, because I laid it out in the previous podcast. I'm like, some of the success was you bumped them at the line, you knocked them off their routes. They are not very large wide receivers. They are small. Compared to other wide receivers, they're easy to knock off their routes. You have to do that. Somebody has to do it. I don't care if it's a defensive back, linebacker, whoever. You cannot let them run free. They were running free the entire game, even in the second half. So we just we were very fortunate that we made some plays, had some interceptions, they had some turnovers, but man, we really, I hate to say it, could have lost the game very easily. And and again, Tua didn't do his own team any favors. If he was actually had the concussion or whatnot, he should have came out. I would have loved to seen Teddy Bridgewater anyway, but that's beside the point. But it had to be better than what Tua was doing in the second half. So he didn't do his team help him out any. So enough on that rant. I'm really, really happy that we won. And I don't want to diminish anything, but I cannot give Joe Barry credit for that. I can't.
Give it a pause. So let's move on to game preview. The Vikings. I've been saying this for the past 2 or 3 podcasts. We just got to win, baby. We just have to win this game. I don't know what else to say. Andy, get
Yep.
your breakdown here.
You're absolutely right.
Up.
Just win. It's all the cliches, a must-have game.
Yeah,
It's
cliches.
essentially a playoff game at Lambeau. And the
absolutely.
Vikings are a freaking dome team and they don't want to play at Lambeau in December.
No, they don't.
So let's stop Justin Jefferson at all costs. We have to stop him. It can't be like the first week. It just can't be. If that happens, we're going to lose the game. The Vikings D is a bend, don't break D. So time of possession is going to, be a key along with moving the chains to keep that defense on the field and then basically keep the Vikings offense off the field.
Correct.
And the Packers offense is good enough to score on them. So whether we're getting field goals, touchdowns, I don't care. If we're running the clock and getting something, that's all that's gonna matter, and we will win the game if that happens. So I know a lot of that is I know that a lot of those are, cliches and you've heard it before, but it's the truth. Time of possession, keeping the ball away from them, converting on third downs is going to be key. So and then the last and most importantly, Aaron Rodgers needs to keep playing like he's the reigning MVP for the next 2 weeks. He needs to elevate his game even higher. I was really pleased to see him sneak the ball. I thought that was awesome. I couldn't believe it.
I couldn't believe that.
I couldn't believe it. I'm like, and then there were a few plays where he was sacrificing himself and diving around.
Yes,
I thought it was awesome. It kind of was reminiscent of Brett Favre a little bit. So he was earning his paycheck, and now he needs to continue to earn his, paycheck, and we need to win that game.
Well, the other
Aaron,
quick thing,
step up for us.
There you go, buddy. Step up. The other quick thing, just like Tua, you knock Kirk Cousins around, he goes in a shell. You just watch any game where he's like, I think one of the first games of the season, second game of the season, actually against the Eagles beat the ever living you know what out of him, and he was done. You just that's the way Kirk Cousins is. Do not let him stand in that pocket. Even if he gets rid of the ball, you hit him. Give him a push. Take that 15, but not all the time. Just, make sure he knows you're there, and he will start to hear footsteps, and that ball comes out earlier, and that's the way we can win it too. So, Andy, you want to take us out here?
Keep the faith, Packer fans. Keep pulling for a Packers win on New Year's Day. And have a happy New Year's Eve, everybody. Have a happy New Year's Eve, John. And thank you all so much for listening to Packers Blitz.
Yeah, I love it. So, a couple quick things. One, again, I've said this before, hit the subscribe button. We love you, Packer fans. We're international. We have people now in Canada listening to us. Awesome. We got some new fans in. We got some new fans. Hey, we got some new fans in Massachusetts. We got some fans in Pennsylvania and Eagles fans. I don't know about you. We'll talk about it, but we're Packers right now. But who knows? One of the quick things I want to tell you: we do have an email, Andy, now. So write this down, people. PackersBlitz80@gmail.com. So please email us. Be nice to us. We're Packers fans. I don't want any profanity, and I don't want to say we suck, because I'm just going to delete that email. But if you really, really want to talk about a topic, I don't care if you're a Bills fan and you say, hey, the Bills are better than the Packers. Great. Andy and I will talk about that. Or maybe a Bills-Packers Super Bowl. We'll talk about that. Right, Andy?
We definitely would.
Yeah.
Yep.
The other
Love
thing
Josh Allen. He's awesome.
He's a great
player. And Stephon Diggs.
Yeah. Respect, man. And we're also now on YouTube. Now, you will not see our pretty faces, but you will hear our audio. And so you can now listen on YouTube and listen to all our episodes will be on YouTube. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're on all the big guys, iHeart. Again, hit subscribe. Please download our podcast because we only can get better and we only can build our podcast with your help. And we love you, Packer fans. Have a happy new year. Be safe out there and let's win and beat those Vikings. Take care, Andy.